Hey there. It's been a while since I did a lesson on yellow letters, and a lot has changed since then. So we've had several requests to completely do a yellow letter lesson campaign. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And in fact, this is one you probably want to mark, because when and if you get ready to send out yellow letters, you're going to want to come back and review this. Because if you do this wrong, you're just wasting your money. Now, this yellow letter thing has been around for, gosh, I don't even remember how long now. Must be at least 12, 14 years. It was actually invented by John McNeil, whose wife is Donna McNeil, and Donna was my personal assistant at the time that John invented this. He was working with me buying houses, and he sat down and wrote out a handwritten letter one day, and he got tremendous response, and he did it again, and he got tremendous response again, and then he brought it to me. I told him it was too ugly, but then he told me the results, and I said, keep doing it, John. Anyway, shortly after that, I started teaching it all over the country, and lo and behold, it started getting absolutely tremendous results everywhere I went, all over the United States and Canada for that matter. So this thing has been working ever since. It continues to produce the best results you're ever going to get with anything you drop in the mail. But I want to preface this by saying yellow letters are an optional item for you. You do not have to mail them. Honestly, you can get all the leads you want by having our virtual assistants call online ads for you. If you'll combine that with finding FSBO signs in front of houses and sending them to the VA to call for you, and running your free ads online yourself, and so, well, if you just do that, if you just find the ads already online, look for FSBO signs, and run ads, you're probably going to get all the leads that you want. But if that's not the case, and if you want to target your market, which is actually one of the biggest benefits of the yellow letter, see, we can target who we mail to. Like right now, we're mailing to houses over $500,000 here in Jacksonville in value, and that's an easy list to get. Just homeowners with high-end houses. If I want to mail to free and clear houses, we can. So we get to target our market. And when we drop these things in the mail, they always produce results. These results are going to vary based on the list that you get and various other things. Actually, in my experience, the results will vary more on if you do this correctly or incorrectly. And I got to tell you, this yellow letter was created right here in this building, but it has been knocked off, or attempted to be knocked off, I can't tell you how many times. In fact, some of the gurus that are out there right now are using my yellow letter, but they have massacred it, they've destroyed it. They don't have any idea why it works, so they just create a letter on a yellow piece of paper and call it a yellow letter. And I'm going to go through here right now and show you why this thing works. There is nobody that knows more about why yellow letters work than me, except the possible exclusion of John and Donna McNeil actually created this thing. Now, over the years, they did a lot of testing on this letter, and I've done a lot of testing myself, right up to just recently. So if you will pay attention to what works and why it works, and just do it, and not try to change it, you're going to get a lot better results. This letter produces a minimum of a 10% to a maximum of a 35% response when you drop it in the mail. There is nothing, absolutely nothing you can do. There's no other piece of mail you can put in the mail that'll come even close to that kind of response. That's not abnormal, that's downright weird, off the charts response rate. So, and I've spent millions and millions of dollars in direct mail, my friends, and I'm telling you, and I've never come close to that kind of response with any other direct mail campaign on the planet. So let's first start by what this yellow letter is. It is a simple, apparently handwritten letter sent to people that own a home in an attempt to get them to call you. Now, before you go dropping yellow letters in the mail, you better ask yourself who's going to take the calls. And it most certainly is not going to be you. If you take these calls, you're going to hate this campaign, because 90+% of them are not going to have a house for sale. They're simply calling to tell you they don't have a house for sale, or wondering what you're up to or what you're trying to pull on them. That's why I want you to have Pat Live take these calls. patlive.com/Ron LeGrand. Tell them you want to get set up with Ron's yellow letter script. That script is really very simple. You just ask for the name of the caller and their cell number. Do they have a house for sale? And when's the best time to call them back? And the address of the house, because that's all we need for the virtual assistant to call them back and fill out the property information sheet. So Pat Live takes the calls 24 hours a day, live, emails you the leads, and then you send them to your VA to get filled out, but only the ones with a house for sale, thus eliminating you from talking to 90% of the people who are going to call you on this yellow letter. Believe me, they'll drive you nuts. You try to take these calls yourself, you're not going to like this yellow letter stuff. All right, so what is the yellow letter? Well, it's a invitation size envelope, just like you see on your screen right now, and it is hand addressed, or it appears to be hand addressed. Fortunately for you, today there is no more handwork in it, because I found a printer that can now address this envelope so that it really looks hand addressed, and they do it with equipment. Now, it's very important that this envelope is right. Look at the one on your screen and you will see how ugly it is. It is crystal clear this envelope was handwritten, or at least it appears to be, because it's so ugly. The problem is that all the printers that I've had before tried to produce something that looked handwritten with a software that they had, but it didn't look handwritten. Here's one on your screen right now that has been used, in fact been used a lot, but if you'll take these two and compare them, you will see the one on your left really looks like Grandma wrote it. The one on your right really looks like a machine wrote it. Now that may not seem important to you, my friend, but that will cut your response in half right there if you don't get that correct. If that envelope doesn't really look handwritten, immediately the receiver of it is thinking this is some kind of a trick and this is some kind of a commercial message. The letter must look like it came from Grandma. We put them in an invitation size envelope because our tests have shown they pull better. So let's start by getting the envelope to look like it was handwritten. Again, the company I'll show you in a minute, I've worked with them for weeks to try to get the envelope correct. I finally okayed the one they're using, so all you got to do is order however many you want and pick out your list, and they're going to do it all for you now. I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, the second ingredient of the yellow letter is the yellow letter itself. It's a yellow writing pad, or it appears to be. It is not really a writing pad. The printer takes white paper, prints it yellow, and then prints lines on it so it looks like it came off of a writing pad. And then the printer prints the message on it to look like it was handwritten. And the current printer that I'm using does a good job of doing that. Now look at the letter on your screen. What does it say? It says, "Hi, my name is Scott. My wife is April. I would like to buy your house at 1545 DeConzo Street. Please call me at," and a phone number. That is all the letter needs to say, and except "Thanks, Scott." Folks, if you add anything to this letter, you've destroyed it. If you put a PS on it, you've destroyed it. If you put a website or a fax number or an email address on it, you have destroyed it. Remember, the only number you want in this letter is the one that forwards to Pat Live 24 hours a day, so they can then take the information I just gave you and forward it to you so you can forward it to your VA. So you have two ingredients. You have an envelope that's hand addressed, or appears to be, and you have a letter that is hand addressed and handwritten, or appears to be. A printer does them all. Now, let's start with, why does this thing work? Well, there are three very good reasons. Number one, you tell me, are you going to throw this in the trash without opening it? The answer is absolutely not. You're going to get a 100% open rate. That's why it works. That just fixed the biggest problem in direct mail, getting the envelope open. By the way, we're not going to seal the flap. We're not going to seal it. We're going to tuck it in, just like Grandma would do. The flap's going to be tucked in, so nobody's going to throw this away without opening it. Okay? Secondly, I got a letter here from Grandma. It says, "My name is Scott. I'd like to buy your house." And I'm thinking, wow, he has driven by my house and he loves my house. I got to call him. I got to call him to either tell him that my house is not for sale or tell him that it is for sale. You see, most of the people that get these yellow letters, they don't even have their house on the market until you put it in their mind that you might buy it. So they'll call, and they call, and they call. Now you're going to get a small percentage of the people who get this letter to call you. It's going to be somewhere between 10 and 30, but you're only going to get a percentage of that to have a house for sale. Let me give you the math. Over all this time that I've worked with the yellow letter all across the country, I think you can count on about 5% of the total people you mail to call you with a house for sale. 5%. That means you got to mail 100 letters to get 5 of them, even with a house for sale. Now, how many deals you get out of that 5 is totally relevant on how good you are, how quickly you can pre-screen them, and how well you follow up, and how well you understand what the definition of a deal is. That you can fix with further training. Come to my Quick Start School and we'll make sure you're clear on what to do with these after you get them. Incidentally, if I were you, I would not go spending money on yellow letters unless you're absolutely clear on what you're going to do with the leads when you get them. For you to go drop letters in the mail and then get people with houses for sale and then not be able to take it beyond that, what have you gained? All you did is wasted money on mail and marketing. I know the post office appreciates it, but you won't. So make sure you're able to follow up. So why do they respond to this? Because you have written a personal letter to them with the address of their house in it. Now, mark my words. If you try to do this and leave out the address of the house, you can look at a minimum of a 50% drop in your response rate, and I've seen it as high as 2/3. Please do not change the system. It's been working for a long time if you'll do it exactly like I ask you to do it. That is, envelope, ugly handwritten address, live stamp up here in the corner, flap tucked in. Yellow letter, looks like handwritten with the address in the center, nothing else on it, nothing that would indicate that this is a commercial message. Now your callers are going to find out it's a commercial message, but that's after they've called and after they told you whether they got a house for sale and after you got a relationship going. So that's the letter. Now, why it works? You got it. I guess the next question is, well, who are we going to mail it to? Well, I got a whole bunch of lists, and honestly, this is where you're going to have to decide. I like free and clear houses, but I will tell you that free and clear houses will produce calls, but they're a little less motivated than people with a mortgage. I think it's quite obvious. If they don't have a payment, then they're going to be less motivated than people with a payment. So I'm mailing to people in higher end houses. In my case, I don't even want to separate the free and clear from the mortgage. I'm going to mail all to all of them. It doesn't matter anyway until they call you back and you get a property information sheet on them. Then when you get the facts, you can decide what to do next. Right now, we're just picking zip codes. Zip codes that we like, we're mailing to homeowners in those zip codes. It's really that simple. That's a very, very easy list for any list broker to get you. And I'll cover list brokers here in just a second. You can mail to out-of-town owners. They can easily get you a list of out-of-town owners. Some folks like mailing to expired listings, which you're going to have to get that list through a real estate agent. They can get it for you. Some folks like mailing to bankruptcies and divorces and probates, which is a list that you can that a list provider can take off of public records and provide to you. That list is going to cost you more because A, it's a small list, and B, it takes more research to get it. So to whom you mail is kind of an experimentation process on your part. If I were you, I would start with out-of-town owners, and then I would just pick a zip code and pick my price range that I want to mail to and just mail to them and see what happens and adjust accordingly. Now, I'm going to go to the board here a minute and I'm going to show you who is doing our letters now for you. All right, I'm sitting here now with the yellow letter lady, Christy King, who happens to also be Tish's mom, not that that matters. I've been working with several yellow letter companies over the years, and they all did their thing, but none of them do as good a job as Christy's doing right now, because this is her whole business. This is her whole life. There is no life beyond this life for her. Yellow letters are her life. Therefore, we get rave reviews of how well she's taking care of our customers. So, Christy, why don't you just go down your list, start from scratch, tell them everything you think they need to know, and I'll try to fill in the blanks if we miss stuff, all right?
All right, thank you, sir. It's pretty easy because I'm the only person that you deal with. So it starts with either a phone call or an email. The biggest question that I get on the front end is about the list. And so...
I will give them your phone number right now before we forget to do that.
Okay. My phone number is 904
904
571 9363.
571-9363, okay?
Okay.
And your web address, pretty easy to remember.
Yep. YellowLetterLady.com.
Thought of that all by yourself, didn't you?
Right.
YellowLetterLady.com, okay? All right,
It is a little tongue twister if you try to say it 3 times fast.
all right.
But like I was saying, the biggest question is the list. So what I've done is I will help you get the list, but I can't tell you which list to use. The best thing to do is to test a few lists. And I have a source for doing that. So if you email me or you call me and talk to me, we come up with a list criteria, and then I introduce you to the list provider. They send the list to you and to me. I manage that list on my end, you keep it on your end, and as you get your results, you want to take and update the list, whether it was don't ever call me again, or yes, I have a house for sale and I want to give it to you, and all of those things. You update that digital list. I then take it and mail from it. So I merge the data from that list. And then...
Actually, let's start by maybe some recommendations on list types. I can tell you that I'm getting a lot of good results from out-of-town owners, even in the nice big pretty houses, especially the nice big pretty houses. So I think that'd probably be one of my top recommendations is out-of-town owners. Some people want to mail to free and clear houses. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just mailing the nice houses in nice neighborhoods, and some of those are automatically going to be free and clear. Some people like to mail to people that are in foreclosure. I don't do that in Florida because of the Florida foreclosure laws here. What other kinds of lists are you hearing good reports about?
Well, just zip codes and dollar amounts. I've had a lot of people that are just targeting a zip code and a home value.
So home value. I've done many of those mailings where, in fact, I did a mailing recently. You did it. Houses over 500,000 in, I think, 2 zip codes. And now we're doing another one, houses 250 to 500,000 in a couple of zip codes. Just renting a zip code, and that's actually the easiest. Just renting a list of homeowners in those zip codes with that in that price range. Okay, all of these lists work. So you're going to have to decide which list you want to go to, and then she's going to help you get the right list provider to put you with those lists. But you don't pick lists for them.
No, I don't.
Okay. That way they can't come back to you and say, my list didn't work.
That's right.
Okay, all right. That's a CYA message.
That's right. So once I get the list, I need 2 days to set up the proof. So I'll merge the data. I will email you a proof. I will follow up on you to make sure that you received it. And sometimes I do that through text messages. It just depends on how much information I have from you. And we talk about that on the front end. When you go to YellowLetterLady.com and you say, I want to start an order, it walks you through the letter. Everything that I need to know to put on the letter from that list is on that website. And then you just send it, and my part is so easy. Then 2 days later, you sign off on the print, I ship them, so the whole thing takes about 5 days.
All right. Let's talk about cost, because I know they're worried about cost.
They cost 49 cents if I provide the letter and the envelope with the information merged, and the letter is folded. Both of them are numbered, and I send you a hard copy list so that you can check them as you insert them.
All right, stop. She will address the envelope, address the letter, put the address of the house in the middle of the letter, fold the letter, and then there's a little teeny number on the letter and a little teeny number on the envelope that match each other, so you'll know which letter to put in what envelope. And they all come in order, so it's not a puzzle that you got to put together. In fact, this is it right here. There's a little number right there underneath the postage stamp, and in the letter inside there's a little number on it as well that is not conspicuous. So they get the letters separate from the envelopes.
Right.
And then you're asking them, I'm asking you to go ahead and stuff your own letters in your own envelopes, because if you do it for them, it costs how much more?
64 cents.
So you're paying, what, 15 cents?
About 14, but
14.
it's labor.
I don't add up. 49 and 15 is
60.
64, so if it's 14, it would be 63.
Okay, so it's
Whatever.
15
All right,
cents.
anyway. Better you get the letters, better you get the envelopes, and then you stuff them while you're watching CSI or something, because you're only gonna mail a couple hundred a week anyway, most likely. And here's the thing, if you do this, now you know, first of all, you want her to send them to you in bulk. Don't ever ask her to ship them for you, or mail them, because you'll never know for sure how many got mailed, and you'll never know for sure when they got mailed. If you're stuffing these, and then tucking the flap in like I instructed you to do. Remember, we don't seal the flap, we just tuck it in. Now you know how many you're mailing, and you know when you're gonna take them to the post office and drop them, and you save yourself 14 cents. So it's 49 cents if they put these two pieces together, plus they gotta put a stamp on it, which is another 49 cents.
Right.
So you're at 98 cents, and that plus the list cost, right?
Usually 10 cents a name.
And the list is
About
gonna cost.
$1.18 to $1.20.
List is gonna, well, it comes out to about $1.10, $1.08, $1.09, $1.10.
Okay,
That's my math anyway.
all right.
Okay, so you look at it all in about $1.10 unless you furnish a list and you save the cost of the list. Guys, you will not get it done any cheaper than that, I can tell you that for sure. You won't get it done any cheaper than that if you have your children do it. This way it gets done professionally, it gets done on time, and I can tell you that Christy will take time to look at your addresses and take out all the junk. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we do that. That's actually, now I've set that up, that's done on the front end from the list provider.
You
So
want to
it's
explain
clean.
what we're talking about?
You don't want to mail to, you don't want the, if you mail to out-of-town owners, you don't want the inside address to be a P.O. box. So we definitely want that to be a property address.
Right.
Sometimes when you're mailing to out-of-town owners, the outside address for the owner of that property will be a P.O. box. So people get confused with that, but that's fine because he's the owner of the property. We mailed it to
Right.
him so that he knows which property address we're talking about. You also don't, unless you want to, when we do an out-of-town owner list, we ask them to exclude trust and bank-owned properties. Because the way
And
the
company
letter.
names, period.
Yeah, it's
So
not
you sit
on
there and pull all that crap out
Right,
to eliminate the waste,
right.
and then by the time they get them, they've got names that should get delivered. By the way,
That's right.
some of them are going to come back no matter what we do, aren't they?
That's right.
Can you give us an idea of about what % we expect to get returned?
I hear different things. I've heard, I guess it just depends on the area in the list at that particular time. Anywhere between 5, 10, and even I've heard 20%.
Oh no! If you get 20% back, you got a very, very bad list. So let
Right.
me answer that question. You should not get more than 5% of them back, and honestly, you shouldn't get those back if you're dealing with a good, solid current list. You need a list that is a fresh list. Don't ever order a list that's a year old or whatever. Fortunately, you're mailing to home addresses, so they don't they change, but they're not as volatile as some of the other lists that we've dealt with. But if you're getting more than 5% back, get with Christy and let her find out why, because that is not normal. If you're getting 20% back, you got a crappy list, and don't ever order another one like it. All right, what else is on your list that they need to know?
Well, that's pretty
We
much
got the
it.
price.
Yep, we have the price.
Got the time
We have
frame.
the time
They
frame.
know what to do. Get a hold of you.
Mhm.
What else?
I really believe that's it. for
No,
that.
it can't
I do. As far as the yellow letters are concerned, the only other thing that I do is when we ship the letters, I do email you the tracking number so that you can track it.
Okay, is there a minimum order?
The minimum order is $250.
250 letters.
500 fit in one box, so for shipping purposes, it makes more sense to ship 500 at a time.
Yeah, I would suggest you order at least 500 at a time. Remember, you don't put the stamp on them till you're ready to mail them, so you only need 49 cents to order 49 cents plus the cost of the list to order the first batch. Okay. I'm trying to think, what else do we need to cover here? Anything on your list?
That's really about it. I also do the business cards, banners,
Oh, that's one thing.
bandit signs, any
Okay.
of the marketing needs I
So-
can handle.
So if they go to your website, they can see, I order banners from her, we ordered road signs from her, put out front of the house, pointer signs from her, business cards from her. Pretty much if it's got anything to do with putting words on a piece of paper or a cloth, we get it from Christy,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, all right, any last words you want to tell them? Anything you want to say before we quit here?
I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your,
Okay, if you want to mail yellow letters, this is the lady, Christy King. yellowletterlady.com.